everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back for another brand new video. Now today's video is a bit of a welcome distraction because after the weekend I think we can all agree we kind of need it. And as we are moving on and going forward, let's get back to normal then, shall we? And start off by shouting out the old channel sponsors and the channel legends themselves, OneFootball, who have a free footballing app, and if you want that, it's down in the description below. And again, they do show selected Champions League and Europa League games for free. But to business then, shall we? And starting off with the old oppositional preview, we face a Willem side that, if you watched this channel for the live reaction of the Europa League, that was the one team I said I didn't want. That's the toughest draw by far. We did get them, of course we did, so aye, that's great. And what was funny, when the draw was initially done, everyone was focusing on Progress and Edicon. It was going to be Rangers versus Progress again, but we said on the channel right frickin' there, this team would wipe the absolute floor with them. And by God, they did that. 5-0. Which in and itself is a bona fide pumping. 5-0 is always a pumping all day, every day. But if you actually look into that game of football, they took the foot off the gas and just turned it completely off after the 65th minute and the 5th goal went in. That could have been a cricket score if they wanted to. That is how devastating this team is, carving teams open and creating chances for themselves. They're very, very good on the ball. They nip it around nicely. They're very good with the way they cut in and intertwine, something very similar to what we like to do as of this season with our front trio. They like to do that constantly, lads, and like I said, that could have been anything they wanted to be, so Progress is lucky it was only 5. And that's all they were interested in. But as that game did directly involve us, I'm sure many people actually looked out at that game and seen Progress and Edicon only had 1 shot on target. This team had over 20 shots in the game, battered the possession stats. Everyone would have probably kept an eye on that fixture because it was for us. But what about the other fixtures so far this season? How are they getting on domestically? Well, in truth, they've only actually played 2 league games this season where they sit with 1 loss and 1 win, and the loss actually came in the very first game of the season as they lost to the team that's now currently sitting top of the league. But even in that game itself, they did get the ball and they still dominated the possession. They still created clear-cut opportunities in the game, but in that game right there, they just couldn't score in a brothel. However, they were much more clinical and back to their attacking best in their most recent game ahead of this game versus Rangers on Sunday, as they absolutely slapped Hercules 4-0 in a game they utterly dominated possession, which I'm starting to smell a bit of a recurring theme here. And it really is a staple of how they actually like to play. Control the ball, control the game, control the scoreline. And it doesn't matter who they're actually up against, whether it's PSV, it's Feyenoord, it's a team right at the rock bottom of the Dutch league. They only play that way. They don't adjust or change for anyone they're up against, which is going to be very interesting coming into this game because, as you know, we like to dominate the ball, we like to control the possession, so Sahan's going to have to give them more and another team's going to have to adjust and change how they play, because we both can't win the possession battle, which I think actually edges and nudges us in a bit of an advantage in this game, because if they've got the ball and if they're moving it like they normally do, that will create the opportunity for our counter-attacks, which I think it's going to be vital in this game. Because looking at how they set up, it's of course a 4-3-3. I mean, it's a Dutch side. They are going to play a 4-3-3. That's just a given. But they do play very, very similar in terms of how wide open they are, as Feyenoord did when it came to Ibrox, and even when we went over there. They do like to get their fullbacks bombing forward just like us, but they do play in a very, very extremely high line with their centre-backs as they're used to dominating the ball. So I think that right there is going to open the door for a lot of counter-attacking opportunities. Very similar to what we've done when we went to Porto away, when we played Barker on one side, Kent on the other, and that was our go-to. I think we're going to see a lot of those opportunities. And I'm sure whenever Hadji actually touches the football, you're going to see a L1 triangle, air the halfway line, and Kenty is going to try and get on the end of it. Very Braga-esque. But back to Willem for one last little thing, because we all know where we stand with injuries, right? It's a very, very hot topic right now with the players that's dropping like flies, needing to bring people in, blah, blah, blah. We know where we stand with injuries, and we'll break that down further in today's video and discuss it in a bit more detail. But looking at Willem, what needs to be said ahead of this game versus Rangers, they are going through their own injury crisis, and it's arguably worse as they are missing 5 first-team players coming into this game versus Rangers, as another player dropped on Sunday, just a couple of days ahead of this game, and is officially ruled out. Now, the Dutch managers kind of brushed this off to one side and just kind of done the manager thing as you're expected to hear ahead of this game, but it does need to be said that several, some people might even say a couple of their best players will be missing the game tomorrow versus Rangers. But with that being said, that's the old oppositional preview wrapped up and completed. They are a very, very good football inside. They get the ball down, they play football the right way, but they have got a wee bit of steel in their park as well, and they do tend to get stuck in and give a lot of fouls away. So I'm expecting this game to be pretty on the eye, back and forth, with a little bit of a bite as well. But enough speaking of the opposition, let's flip it over and talk about what matters most to all of us here on this channel, and that's Rangers. And right off the bat, I don't think I'm going to speak too much out of line there, but there is a lot of frustration still around the old Rangers camp right now because of the way we've conceded an offside goal to drop points. The way Connor Goldson gave a needless mistake away that eventually led to the offside goal, and in the way we missed 3 clear-cut opportunities to put this game to bed. There is still a lot of frustrations, but it is done and dusted now, ladies and gentlemen. It's football and it's never ever perfect, no matter how much we want it to be. We've been in this game now long enough to know the kind of script, and I just hope in a couple of weeks time with the games that's got to come for a lot of teams in our actual league and with ourselves, we can go back and look at maybe in about a month's time or a month and a half's time and look back to that draw at Easter and say, you know what, it wasn't the worst overall result we could get when we did make so many massive mistakes. And because there is so much disappointment, and you could see even with the players when the full-time whistle went there, maybe we'll get a wee bit of an extra boost, a wee bit of a kick up nerves, just like we did versus Livingston. Because remember, we were playing well, we dropped points, then we came out, we tweaked and we changed things, and we started scoring goals for fun. So maybe that will be a little bump on the road for the next month and a half, because as much as I'd love to say we're going to win every single game this season, 3 or 4 none, that's just not the way things actually work. There is going to be eventual bumps, and when you look at it, we dropped 2 points, yes, but we still didn't lose the game when we were playing so wide open and making so many mistakes. So maybe we can take the disappointment again, go on another run. And you know, I don't know, maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, as many people say I am on this channel, but when you actually take a step back away from the frustrations of Sunday with the mistakes, the missed chances, and you just take a step back and you have an overview of this entire season so far, we're nearly in October now. We're undefeated in the league, and we've been to the top 4 toughest places we'll go all season: Pittodrie, Plastic Park City and Easter Road. That is not too bad. Now, I do feel my ears burning already, and a couple of people already be shouting me in the comments demanding that it isn't good enough, and that's completely fine if that's how you see it. But again, this channel is just about us having an open conversation, an open dialogue. That's how I feel. Now, when you look at everything, you put it all into perspective, and I'm looking at this game tomorrow with, again, another opportunity just to get another bounce, take that, and then go into the weekend. And that's kind of where my head's at, ladies and gentlemen. But aye, the ears are severely burning, so let's just move on. And that little phrase there, move on, is probably the best little description or the best little thing we could say ahead of this game tomorrow. Because whether you're a half-full type of guy or a half-empty type of guy about the season so far, I think we can all agree tomorrow is an opportunity for us all to get back to our clinical best, and also back and cut out those defensive mistakes and get back to doing what we've done for the majority of the season. And that's keep the back door shut. Now, in terms of the attacking side of things, some of that unfortunately will be hampered by the fact that Kamal Roof isn't available, or shouldn't be available, for the game tomorrow, as that little calf injury that he got against Red Imps, which was first expected to be just a wee bit of tightness and they took him off as a precaution, is seemingly a wee bit more than that, and he's going to be out for the short term. Which to me right there is a massive blow, especially the way we've been building and looking to make our attacking side this season, because as much as we all love Alfredo Morelos, and he is a truly fantastic player at what he does, I actually think Kamal Roof fits our current playstyle a little bit better than Alfredo Morelos, and we're going to get to the heights higher with Kamal Roof leading the line, because he's able to interchange and bring other people into play that I don't think Morelos quite has in his game. And that's not me taking a knock at him, I'm just saying that's not the type of player he is, and you can see what we're trying to do as a football team, and I think Kamal Roof fits that absolutely perfectly. But it is a blow that the lad isn't going to be there the more versus Willem. But in saying that, as we mentioned earlier on in today's video about them having 5 key players and arguably their best player missing for the game tomorrow, I think given the fact that we are missing Kamal Roof and we can bring in the likes of Alfredo Morelos, who again is top notch, probably says we're in an okay situation up front. And that's before mentioning Jermaine Defoe or Cedric Itten in terms of attacking options. So I don't think we can complain too much, but I do hope Kamal Roof is back very, very soon, because I see that laddie being a very, very important player for us this season. Next up on the old injury front, we've of course got Ryan Jack and Brandon Barker missing the game tomorrow. And the latter there, Brandon Barker, is someone that I think would have fit this game down to an absolute T. But it does open a door for the next guy I want to talk about, who is fully fit, and his name is Jordan Jones. Now, I know we've talked about this story, we've seen how it all plays out, and it never ever ends with Jordan Jones on the actual park. But if you actually look at what his strengths are and what their weaknesses are, it's a tick and tick. That high attacking line, giving Jordan Jones space to get in behind, got pace to burn, would fit him down to an absolute T. So with Barker being out, maybe Hadji being rested for the game versus Motherwell, if we are going to go the counter-attacking route, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to see Jordan Jones' pace on one side mixed with Ryan Kent's on the other. So all I'm going to say is, if we're ever going to see Jordan Jones in the mix for this season, it's going to be this game, because it just makes complete and utter sense, and it fits him down to a T. And if he is selected tomorrow, some people might say it's a ballsy decision seeing Jones play in this game, which is obviously massive in its own right despite his lack of action. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, because his strengths directly aim and go for their weaknesses. The rest of the team injury wise remains the same. Touch wood that there's no further updates. We've obviously got Joe Rebo, who is out for a little bit longer, and you've also got the long term injury Katic. Now, if there is any other further updates that comes out before the game, I will dive it into the comment section below, so it might be worth having a wee scroll to see the top comment, because if there's anything latest and breaking for the team, I'll pop it right there for ease. But with that being said, that is the team news, that is the Rangers preview, and that is the oppositional preview wrapped up in a neat little bow. Now all that's left is for me and thee to go out here and try and predict this very interesting game of football, which I think is going to be a very, very good game of football, by the way. But now you know a little bit more about the game, what you're thinking about tomorrow, and why. And while you guys are getting your thoughts and opinions out there, I will give you mine very, very briefly. You've heard everything I've had to say against this team. I'm paying respect to the opposition, but also I'm paying respect to our team. And I think if we're at it and if we're at our best, we should be able to go after this team and put a couple of goals by them. So I'm actually going to predict Rangers 3, Willem 1. My goal scorers in the game of football is going to be your man, Ryan Kent. I'm also going to go for it. I'm going to go Jordan Jones as my wild card option and my third and final goal scorer. If he starts, Morelos. If he doesn't, Connor Goldson. And now that me and thee have had their say, now we get to sit back, relax, and just hear from the... We're done for the day, nicely, so we just get to hear for the people now. So the 91% is voting for a Rangers away win. You're expecting to see that in this one-legged shootout, but let's see what they've had to say then, shall we? The first one comes in from Nathan, and he writes it, either way, not bothered. Rather win the league than reach the round 16 of the Europa League. 2-0 to Rangers though. Fair play, mate. Fair play for Nathan. Thomas writes in, it'll be a tough, hard-fought victory. I think the team will bounce back after Sunday, plus there's no Scottish refs. We all know what he's saying there. Robbie Collins writes in, Rangers will dominantly win, 4-0 with Morelos scoring 2 and Ryan Kent getting 2. Tropical Korma? Ouch, that just sounds there. He writes in 3-1. Next one up comes from Rab going for 55, writes in 2-1 to Rangers in extra time. Jamie writes in, based on Willem's home form and what I saw on Sunday, I have a horrible feeling about the game tomorrow. Matty writes in, saying 2-1, I think it's going to be a tough game. CJ Gary Thompson actually agrees with Matty there, saying 2-1 with Morelos and Tav. Janie writes in, Rangers will win 2-0. We will risk our back from injury, put on a performance we should have done versus Hibs. The Blazer writes in 2-1. Seems to be a very popular scoreline, as Brian Spark also writes in 2-1 with a Morelos dirty double. And the last one we'll read out in tonight's video, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we'll stop it right here. And it comes from Dino, and Dino writes in, we're a better side than what we had when we played Braga, and Braga are a better side than Willem. He's doing things, alright? He's creating a jigsaw puzzle here. So on that basis, I'm going to say 3-1 to Rangers. Alfie, Kent and Big Cedric. I'd love to see Cedric get involved. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You've heard from the people, you've heard from myself, and you haven't done so already, you know what to do by now. And before I actually wrap up today's video, I know there's a lot of craziness going on in the world. I know there's a lot of stuff and restrictions going out there, and I know that's negatively affecting a lot of people's mental health and how they're feeling and stuff like that. So if you are low and if you are doing, make sure to be speaking out and talk to somebody. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. I struggle with it myself, and I reach out, and that's definitely do that if you are feeling low and you're feeling a wee bit vulnerable. It's okay to not be okay, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to go through this crazy journey together as always on the channel. So thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the morning, and bye.